Title: The Birth of Dronacharya, the sage who became a warrior. 1. A celestial beginning. In the mystical epoch of ancient India, when divinity and humanity intermingled, the hermitage of sage Bharadwaja stood nestled amidst dense forests and towering mountains. This ashram wasn't just a spiritual sanctuary, but a hub of ethereal occurrences. One fateful day, while meditating by the river Ganges, Bharadwaja was privy to a heavenly sight. The divine Apsara Gartachi, bathing under a cascading waterfall, her beauty shimmering under the sun's rays. The purity of the moment, combined with the allure of Gartachi, awakened dormant emotions in the sage. As he tried to grapple with this newfound sensation, a vase or draw he was holding brimmed with a potent energy, which materialized into a radiant child. News of this miraculous birth spread across forests, mountains, and kingdoms. The child, a blend of divine beauty and human emotion, was destined to greatness, named Drona after the vessel of his origin. Whispers of his purpose and potential echoed in every corner of the ashram. He wasn't just a child, but a harbinger of change. 2. The young sage. Under the shade of ancient trees and amidst the harmonious symphonies of the ashram, young Drona was a keen learner. Every dawn saw him absorbing tales of valor, wisdom, and morality taught by the venerable sages, with Bharadwaja himself imparting the essence of life and existence. But it was the art of archery that truly fascinated Drona. From twigs and vines, he crafted his first bow and arrow. His intuitive understanding of the craft was remarkable. He wouldn't just aim and shoot, he'd feel the wind's direction, sense the target's heartbeat, and visualize the trajectory before releasing the arrow. Elders often narrated tales of Drona's unparalleled skills. In one such tale, a crow, cawing incessantly and disturbing the ashram's peace, perched on a distant tree. Drona, with his handcrafted bow, aimed and, with impeccable precision, silenced the crow without harming it. Such was the brilliance of this young sage, whose reputation soon began to echo beyond the ashram boundaries. 3. The power of penances. As Drona's skills matured, so did his aspirations. Tales of Parashurama, the warrior sage who decimated evil with his axe, and who was said to have knowledge of divine weaponry, kindled a fire in Drona. Eager to be his disciple, Drona ventured to seek Parashurama. Journeying through treacherous terrains and dense forests, Drona underwent numerous trials. On one occasion, confronted by a ferocious bear, instead of using violence, Drona calmed the beast with a simple mantra, showcasing his profound spiritual knowledge. After months, Drona finally reached the abode of Parashurama. Without hesitation, he prostrated, showcasing his humility. However, Parashurama, testing Drona's determination, ignored him. Undeterred, Drona sat in deep meditation, letting the elements batter him, showcasing his resilience. Weeks turned into months, but Drona's perseverance finally bore fruit. Parashurama, impressed by his unwavering spirit, not only taught him archery, but imbued in Drona the wisdom of the Astra's weapons guided by mantras. 4. The arrival of Arjuna. Time's relentless march brought Drona to the opulent courtyards of Hastinapur, where he was entrusted with the sacred duty of educating the young Kuru princes. Amongst them, one stood out, Arjuna. Drona and Arjuna shared an inexplicable bond. Each sunrise saw them practicing, each sunset saw them reflecting. Chines set by Drona were complex shooting arrows through revolving rings, hitting targets concealed by mirages, and much more. One winter morning, as frost covered the land, Drona created a maze of mirrors. The challenge was to pierce a target only visible in reflection, while others were confounded by the optical illusions. Arjuna, recalling the lessons of focus and perception, struck the target flawlessly, solidifying his place as Drona's favorite. 5. The Gore's Tests. As years rolled by, Drona felt the need to test his students' adaptability. In an orchestrated challenge, he conjured an enchanted well, with waters that receded when approached. Each prince tried and failed to draw water. However, it was the humble and diligent Yudhishthira, understanding the lesson behind the task, who used his bow and arrow to fetch the water, proving that sometimes thinking outside of conventional norms is the answer. Yet, Drona's ultimate test was emotional, not physical. He instructed his pupils to capture a formidable foe, his own son, Ashwathama. Princes faltered, but Drona's lessons on strategy, teamwork, and adaptability eventually led to his son's symbolic capture, teaching them the essence of sacrifice and the significance of a Gore's command. 6. Drupada's humiliation and revenge. Behind Drona's wisdom and serenity lurked a past marred by betrayal. His childhood friend, King Drupada, once promised to share half his kingdom with Drona, but upon ascending the throne, Drupada's arrogance grew, and he shunned Drona, deeming him unworthy. Betrayed and hurt, Drona used the Kuru princes to subdue Drupada, teaching him a lesson in humility. However, this act sowed seeds of vengeance in Drupada's heart. Determined to birth the warrior capable of annihilating Drona, Drupada performed a great sacrifice, leading to the birth of Drishtadyumna, Drona's destined slayer. 7. The Kurukshetra conundrum. Years passed, and the political landscape of India transformed. Allegiances shifted, and what began as a simple rift between the Kuru cousins grew into a chasm, leading to the eve of the Great War of Kurukshetra. Drona's position was an enigma. On one side, he had his beloved pupil, Arjuna, the very epitome of his teachings. On the other, he owed allegiance to the throne of Hastinapur and Duryodhana, who now sat upon it. Conflict wasn't just between two factions, but within the very soul of Dronacharya. As conch shells heralded the commencement of the war, Drona, chosen as the commander-in-chief of the Kaurava army, vowed to fight till his last breath. His prowess was evident. Like a tempest, he tore through the Pandava ranks, drawing upon every ounce of his skill and knowledge. However, the real battle was internal. Each arrow he loosed against the Pandavas weighed heavily on his conscience. When he faced Bhima and Arjuna, his heart wavered. The memories of their training sessions, their shared laughter and trials, flashed before his eyes. Every day on the battlefield, Dronacharya grappled with the dichotomy of duty versus affection. This chapter paints the poignant image of a mentor torn between duty and love, demonstrating that real battles are often fought within one's heart and mind. 8. The downfall of a legend. As days turned into nights and nights into days, the war raged on, painting Kurukshetra red. Drona's strategies seemed insurmountable. However, the Pandavas, aware that confronting Drona directly was futile, sought a different approach. Krishna, always a strategist, devised a plan to exploit Drona's sole vulnerability. His son, Ashwathama, Bhima, in the heat of battle, loudly proclaimed the death of an elephant named Ashwathama. This cunning play on words reached Drona's ears, shattering his spirit. Believing his son had perished, seeking confirmation, Drona approached Yudhishthira, the one warrior known never to lie. Yudhishthira, torn between righteousness and victory, ambiguously confirmed Ashwathama's death, adding a whisper that the creature was an elephant. Dejected, a heartbroken Dronacharya laid down his weapons and was slain by Drishtadyumna, fulfilling the prophecy. Chapter portrays the tragic flaw of even the mightiest their emotions. It speaks volumes on the lengths one might go to secure victory, even if it means blurring the lines of morality. 9. Legacy of a warrior sage. The demise of Dronacharya left an indelible mark on both the Pandavas and the Kauravas. While one faction rejoiced, the other mourned. Yet, the entire arena, friends and foes alike, paid homage to the great teacher. But Drona's legacy was not confined to the battlefield. Long after the war, tales of his wisdom, his teachings, and his sacrifice were sung by bards across the lands. His lessons, both of warfare and life, were passed down through generations. Arjuna, in particular, was a living testament to Drona's teachings. Every arrow he loosed, every decision he made, bore the mark of his beloved Guru. Bhagavad Gita, a discourse between Krishna and Arjuna, was, in many ways, a culmination of Drona's teachings on duty, righteousness, and the eternal soul. Chapter underlines the fact that physical existence is temporary. The impact one leaves behind can resonate for eternity. Drona's life, filled with highs and lows, successes and failures, joys and sorrows, serves as a guiding star for all who seek a path of righteousness amidst life's myriad challenges. 10. Reflections and morals. As time flows, stories from the past tend to become legends, and legends turn into myths. Yet, some tales, like that of Dronacharya, remain relevant, teaching us invaluable lessons. His life reminds us of the impermanence of human existence and the timeless nature of the soul. His trials teach us perseverance, his victories show the fruits of hard work, and his failures remind us of the fragility of life and the pitfalls of human emotions. In his story, we learn about the paramount importance of a guru, mentor, in shaping our lives. We understand the depth of knowledge and the sacrifices required to attain it. Through his dilemmas, we are taught about the eternal conflict between duty and personal bonds. In essence, Dronacharya's life is a mirror, reflecting universal human experiences and emotions. By understanding his journey, we are better equipped to navigate complex tapestry of our own lives, making choices that resonate with our inner truth and moral compass. Thus, the legend of Dronacharya, while rooted in the distant past, continues to illuminate the path for future generations, urging them to seek knowledge, uphold righteousness, and above all, remain true to oneself. Dronacharya's tale, spanning his early years, his achievements, dilemmas, and legacy, offers profound insights into the human psyche and the eternal struggle between right and wrong. Through this detailed exploration, readers, young and old, are prompted to introspect, derive lessons, and apply them to their lives. The end. Karna the Sun's Gifted Son. Chapter 1. The Sunlit Baby by the River. In a land that sparkled with tales of valor and mysteries, where gods and mortals interwove their lives, a unique story began to unfold by the banks of a gentle river. It was dawn, and the first rays of the sun kissed the water, turning it into a shimmering stream of gold. Birds started their morning song, and the world felt new and full of hope. But amidst this serenity, a baby's soft cry echoed, breaking the morning's quiet. Encased in a golden box, the baby, shining almost as brightly as the sun itself, lay wrapped in silk. This was no ordinary child. He bore a golden armor on his chest and a pair of radiant earrings. These were gifts from his father, the mighty sun god. However, what was this divine child doing abandoned by a river? His mother, Princess Kunti, was bestowed with a unique boon to invoke any god and bear a child. Young and curious, she called upon the sun god, and thus Karna was born. But she was unmarried, and the world wouldn't understand or accept this child. With a heavy heart, she placed Karna in the box and set him afloat on the river, hoping he'd find a better destiny. And destiny did have plans for him. The box drifted to the kingdom of a charioteer, Adharatha, and his wife Radha. They were childless and saw the radiant baby as a blessing from the heavens. They named him Vajusna, but lovingly called him Karna. As the years went by, Radha and Adharatha watched Karna grow into a handsome and strong young man. He was kind, generous, and always eager to help others. But amidst all the love, Karna felt a burning desire to become the greatest archer in the world. Chapter 2. The Gift of the Golden Armor. Karna's life was not without challenges. Even as a child, he was often ridiculed for his charioteer lineage. But his radiant armor and earrings also aroused curiosity. They were not mere ornaments, but symbols of his divine heritage, protecting him and granting him strength. Yet, Karna wasn't aware of their significance. With every jeer and every mocking word, Karna's determination to become unparalleled in archery grew. He approached Dronacharya, the famed teacher who trained the royal princes. But Drona turned him away, setting his lower caste. Dejected but not defeated, Karna sought Parashurama, the warrior sage who despised Kshatriyas, the warrior class. Believing Karna to be a Brahmin, Parashurama took him under his wing. Under his tutelage, Karna's skills flourished. He learned to summon weapons and mastered advanced combat techniques. However, fate played its cruel game again. Once, while Parashurama rested on Karna's lap, a bee stung Karna. Not wanting to disturb his guru, Karna endured the pain. The blood betrayed him. Realizing that only a Kshatriya could endure such pain, an enraged Parashurama cursed Karna, stating that he'd forget the knowledge he learned when he needed it the most. Karna left Parashurama's ashram with a heavy heart, but he continued to practice, challenging and learning from various warriors. He became known not just for his prowess in battle, but for his generosity. He promised never to turn away anyone who approached him during his morning prayers. This trait would both define him and lead to intricate twists in his destiny. However, Karna's trials were just beginning. Grand display of skills, a contest like none other, was on the horizon. The stage was set for Karna's moment of glory, as well as the beginning of a lifelong revelry. Chapter 3. The Unbreakable Bond of Friendship. In the vast kingdom of Hastinapur, the royal courtyard buzzed with excitement. A grand demonstration of martial skills was underway, and every prince showcased his talents. But amidst the echoing applause and the clashing of swords, two figures stood out: Arjuna, the finest prince of the Pandavas, and Karna, the radiant warrior from an unknown background. Arjuna's arrows met their marks with precision, drawing admiration from the crowd. But as Karna stepped into the arena, his prowess overshadowed even Arjuna's. Murmurs grew louder, a mix of awe and skepticism. Who was this outsider challenging the pride of Hastinapur? However, when it came to a direct duel between Arjuna and Karna, fate intervened. Kripacharya, another revered teacher, halted the fight, questioning Karna's lineage. Only a prince could challenge a prince. Karna's face fell once again. He was being judged not by his skill, but his assumed caste. In this moment of deep humiliation, Duryodhana, the eldest of the Kauravas and cousin to the Pandavas, saw an opportunity. He stepped forward, declaring Karna the king of Anga. With this, Karna was no longer a charioteer's son, but a prince, worthy of challenging Arjuna. Gesture was not lost on Karna. He knelt before Duryodhana, promising his unwavering allegiance. This day marked the beginning of a friendship that would become legendary. Duryodhana and Karna became inseparable. They hunted together, dined together, and shared their deepest secrets. In Karna, Duryodhana found a loyal friend, and in Duryodhana, Karna found someone who saw him for who he truly was, not his birth or caste. This friendship was more than camaraderie. It became a pivotal force in the great Mahabharata war. Karna's allegiance meant that even when he discovered his true lineage, his loyalty to Duryodhana never wavered. Chapter 4 Revelations and Heartaches. As days turned into years, secrets began to unfold. Karna's life was one entwined with destiny, and the truth was bound to emerge. One day, as Karna practiced by the riverbank, an old Brahmin approached him. It was none other than Lord Krishna in disguise. With wise words and riddles, Krishna tried to reveal Karna's true parentage, hinting at the sun god and Kunti's role. But Karna, though perplexed, remained firm in his devotion to Duryodhana. However, the greatest revelation came when Kunti, in a desperate bid to save her biological and adoptive sons from the impending war, approached Karna. She revealed the truth of his birth, the heavy heart, with which she left him to the mercy of the river, and her eternal love for her firstborn. The weight of the revelation crushed Karna. His entire life, he longed for acceptance, and now he discovered that he was a prince by birth, the eldest Pandava, no less. But Karna's character shone through. Despite the heartbreak and anger, he forgave Kunti. He promised her that he would not harm his brothers. However, he vowed to fight Arjuna, for his allegiance lay with Duryodhana. Chapter 5 A War and the Warrior's End. Drums of war echoed across Kurukshetra. The Pandavas and Kauravas, cousins by blood, stood on opposing sides, and amidst them stood Karna, a Pandava by birth but a Kaurava by choice. Karna's prowess on the battlefield was unmatched. His arrows, guided by years of dedication and training, found their mark every time. However, the curse of Parashurama came to haunt him. In the heat of battle, as he faced Arjuna, his chariot wheel sank into the ground. As Karna descended to free it, recalling the art of invoking the Brahmastra, the curse played its part. Knowledge evaded him. Arjuna, guided by Lord Krishna, seized the moment. An arrow, imbued with divine power, found its mark, and Karna, the unsung hero of the Mahabharata, fell. Even in death, he radiated a glow, a testament to his divine lineage and unwavering spirit. Chapter 6 The Mystic Land of Bengal. The warrior Karna's legacy spread across the subcontinent, and as tales of his valor reached the eastern province of Bengal, they took on a mystical twist. People of Bengal, known for their deep spirituality and artistic inclinations, saw in Karna a figure of transcendence. Bengal, with its lush green landscapes crisscrossed by countless rivers, had always been a land of poets, artists, and mystics. The capital city, located on the banks of the mighty Ganges, was a hub of trade and culture. In the heart of the city lived Ananya, a young dancer with eyes that sparkled like the river and moves that echoed the gentle breeze of Bengal. She was deeply inspired by Karna's story, and it reflected in her dance. Ananya's performances on Karna's life became the talk of the province, drawing audiences from every corner. But Ananya's depiction wasn't just a dance. It was a narrative, detailing Karna's journey through the lens of Bengal's unique spirituality. The dance recital spoke of the region's deep belief in karma, reincarnation, and the eternal cycle of life and death. Through her dance, Ananya sought to explore the possibility of Karna's soul being reborn in Bengal, searching for redemption. Her dance drew the attention of scholars, sages, and even the ruling monarch. Intrigued by Ananya's interpretation, the king commissioned a grand temple dedicated to Karna, believing that the warrior spirit indeed resided in Bengal. This temple, over time, became a place of pilgrimage, merging the legends of Karna with the mysticism of Bengal. Chapter 7 The Golden Sands of Rajasthan. As tales of Bengal's Karna temple spread, they reached the arid landscapes of Rajasthan in the west. Here, amidst golden deserts and majestic forts, the story transformed once again. In Rajasthan, Karna was seen as the epitome of a warrior's honor. The Rajputs, known for their chivalry and valor, saw in him a kindred spirit. To them, Karna's unwavering loyalty to Duryodhana mirrored their code of undying allegiance to their lords. Rana Pratap, a young Rajput prince, grew up on tales of Karna's bravery. But more than the battles, it was Karna's moral dilemmas that intrigued him. Prince often rode to the edge of the desert, gazing at the horizon, contemplating the thin line between duty and righteousness. Inspired, Rana Pratap organized a grand annual tournament. In the capital city of Jaipur, warriors from across the land were invited to prove their mettle. But unlike other tournaments, this wasn't just about martial skill. At the end of each duel, the warriors engaged in debates on dharma, righteousness, and the choices a true warrior must make. The tournament became a symbol of Rajasan's unique blend of martial prowess and philosophical depth. Karna's legacy had found a new home in the desert sands, reminding warriors of the costs and rewards of unwavering duty. Chapter 8: The Verdant Valleys of Kerala. Winds carried Karna's stories southwards to the verdant valleys and backwaters of Kerala. Here, in the lap of nature, the tale transformed yet again. Kerala, with its ancient traditions of Ayurveda, saw in Karna a figure of healing. The region believed that Karna's life, filled with pain and challenges, carried lessons for healing both the body and soul. Dr. Nair, an Ayurvedic physician in the town of Aleppe, often narrated Karna's story to his patients. He spoke of the warrior's inner turmoil and how it mirrored the imbalances in the human body. The doctor believed that by understanding Karna's journey, one could find paths to inner healing. Intrigued by this perspective, scholars and healers from across Kerala began to explore the Mahabharata, seeking therapeutic lessons. They found that the epic, beyond its battles and heroes, was a deep reservoir of wisdom on the human psyche. Soon, retreats sprung up across the region, where the ancient art of Ayurveda merged with the timeless tales of the Mahabharata. Patients from across the land, and soon from across the seas, traveled to Kerala, seeking healing for the body and soul, guided by Karna's eternal journey. Closing remarks: a tale for the ages, from the courtyards of Hastinapur to the vibrant lands of Bengal, the golden deserts of Rajasthan, and the healing retreats of Kerala. Karna's tale is a testament to the timeless nature of stories. His life, filled with heroism, heartbreak, and deep moral dilemmas, resonates with every soul, adapting and thriving in every land it touches. In Karna's journey, we see our own struggles and aspirations, and as we traverse through the diverse provinces of India, each with its unique lens on the epic, we're reminded of the rich tapestry of cultures, beliefs, and traditions that make up this ancient land. Through the tale of one warrior, the end. Title: The Trials of Arjuna and Archer's Quest. Chapter 1: The Mighty Pandavas. In the great land of Bharatvarsha, there flourished the kingdom of Hastinapura, a realm of prosperity and might. Here lived the noble Pandavas, 5 brothers bound by loyalty, honor, and a shared destiny. Among them stood Arjuna, a prince of unparalleled skill with the bow, with eyes as sharp as a hawk and a heart as vast as the skies. The eldest of the Pandavas, Yudhishthira, was like a stable mountain, always sticking to the path of righteousness. Bhima, with strength comparable to 100 elephants, possessed a great appetite not just for food, but also for life. The twins, Nakula and Sahadeva, though different in many ways, shared an inseparable bond. And then there was Arjuna's life was a blend of personal quests, divine interventions, and the never-ending pursuit of dharma. Growing up, the brothers faced numerous challenges, but what bound them together was their unwavering love for one another. They faced deceit from their cousins, Kauravas, endured exile, and navigated political intrigue. However, this tale focuses on Arjuna's personal journey, a journey marked by lessons, love, and a quest for self-discovery. Chapter 2: The Gifted Student. As young princes, the Pandavas were sent to study under the great Guru Dronacharya. The ashram, located amidst a serene forest, was where princes and noblemen from various kingdoms learned the arts of warfare, scriptures, and statecraft. From the onset, it was clear that Arjuna was a prodigy. While other students took weeks to perfect an archery stance, Arjuna mastered it in days. Under the moonlit sky, when others rested, he practiced, the twang of his bow the only sound echoing in the night silence. Dronacharya often said, "To be a great archer, one needs 3 things: focus, patience, and an unyielding spirit." Arjuna embodied all 3. He could aim with precision, wait for the right moment, and never gave up, no matter the challenge. One day, as the students were resting near a well, They saw a bird perched high on a tree. Dronacharya, seizing the opportunity for a lesson, asked his students what they saw. While some saw the bird, others saw the tree and the sky. However, when it was Arjuna's turn, he simply said, "I see the bird's eye." His laser focus was what set him apart. Years passed, and Arjuna's skills only grew, earning him not just the respect of his peers, but also a special place in his guru's heart. Yet, this favoritism bred jealousy, especially in the heart of his cousin, Duryodhana. Chapter 3 Aim for the fish. News spread across kingdoms of the Swayamvara of Draupadi, princess of Panchala. She was said to possess beauty that could make the flowers bloom, a spirit that was as fierce as the roaring sea. But her Swayamvara was no ordinary event. The challenge was to string a massive bow and shoot an arrow to pierce the eye of a rotating fish, all while looking at its reflection in water. Princes and kings from distant lands gathered, each confident of their prowess. Among the crowd were the Pandavas in disguise, having been in exile. The hall echoed with the sounds of failure as bow after bow broke, unable to be strung. Then it was Arjuna's turn. As he stepped forward, there was a hushed silence. Drawing from his years of training and innate skill, he focused solely on the fish's reflection, drowning out the murmurs and gasps of the audience. With a deep breath, he strung the bow, aimed, and released. The arrow whistled through the air and met its mark, piercing the fish's eye. The hall erupted in cheers. Princess Draupadi, with a smile that lit up the room, garlanded Arjuna, choosing him as her partner for life. The story of Arjuna doesn't end here. It was merely one of the many trials he faced in his illustrious life. Chapter 4 The Enigmatic Guru. The Pandavas were victorious, but their adventures were far from over. Great sage visited their palace, an enigmatic figure with deep-set eyes, radiating a glow of wisdom. This was no ordinary visitor, it was Lord Krishna, the divine incarnate, destined to play a central role in Arjuna's life. Arjuna and Krishna shared a unique bond. They were cousins, but their connection was deeper than blood. They were confidants, friends, and above all, Krishna became Arjuna's spiritual guide. Palace grounds often echoed with their laughter, melodies of their shared music, and discussions that spanned life, duty, and the cosmos. One day, Arjuna confided in Krishna about a recurring dream. A vast battlefield, with him standing in the center, paralyzed by doubt and fear. Krishna, with his profound insight, knew that this was a premonition. "Life will place you on such a battlefield, Arjuna," he said. "The real test isn't about winning or losing, but understanding your duty and following your dharma." Chapter 5 The Celestial Song. Dream turned out to be prophetic. A rift grew between the Pandavas and the Kauravas, leading to the great war of Kurukshetra. As the two sides prepared for battle, Arjuna ate up his chariot. Driven by Krishna, beheld a heart-wrenching sight. Across the field stood relatives, beloved teachers and friends, now adversaries, grief-stricken and tormented by the prospect of killing his kin. Arjuna dropped his bow. "I cannot fight, Krishna," he lamented. The world seemed to stand still, awaiting Krishna's response. And then, in the midst of that battlefield, began one of the most profound dialogues in history, the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna guided Arjuna through his anguish, addressing his doubts and dilemmas. He spoke of duty, righteousness, and the impermanent nature of life. "You have the right to perform your prescribed duty, but you are not entitled to the fruits of action," Krishna enlightened. Arjuna listened, absorbing the celestial song, a synthesis of wisdom spanning various paths to the divine. By the end, his spirit rejuvenated, clarity replacing confusion. With Krishna by his side, he was ready for the trials ahead. Chapter 6 The War and Beyond. The conch shells blew, signaling the beginning of the 18-day war. Arrows flew, mighty warriors clashed, and the earth trembled with the weight of the epic battle. Arjuna, with Krishna's guidance, showcased his prowess. Yet, every arrow he released was not just an act of war, but a step closer to understanding his dharma. Despite the carnage, there were moments of profound learning. Arjuna encountered opponents who were more than just warriors. For each, he gained wisdom, understanding the multifaceted nature of life and duty. When the war dust settled, the Pandavas emerged victorious, but it was a victory stained with grief. The cost was immense. However, the lessons Arjuna learned, his growth, from a prince to a warrior of dharma, were invaluable. Years later, as Arjuna reflected on his life, the trials, the joys, the sorrows, he realized the journey was not just about external battles, but the internal ones. and at the heart of it was his bond with Krishna, the divine charioteer, guiding him through the maze of life. Chapter 7 Reflections in the Forest. After the intense heat of the battlefield, the coolness of the forest was a welcome relief. Arjuna, seeking solace and understanding, ventured alone into the woods, away from the grandeur of the palace and the weight of his crown. These woods were reminiscent of their years in exile, a period of learning and discovery. As he treaded along the familiar paths, memories surged. There was the spot where Draupadi, their shared wife, had laughed as she played in the water. A little further, he remembered the trees where he practiced his archery, aiming for the fruits with precision. These woods held stories of their younger selves, naive yet ambitious. However, it wasn't just memories that the forest harbored. Quietude of the surroundings gave Arjuna the space for introspection. The sound of the flowing river seemed to echo Krishna's wisdom from the Gita. Nature, in all its splendor, seemed to reaffirm the teachings about the transient nature of life. There, amidst the tall trees and under the vast sky, Arjuna felt a connection, not just to his past, but to the universe. The forest, with its serenity, was a stark contrast to the battlefield. Yet both were teachers in their own right. Chapter 8 The Final Lesson. Years passed. Great War of Kurukshetra became a tale told in hushed tones, a lesson for future generations. The once mighty warriors are now old, their fiery spirits mellowed by time. Yudhishthira, the eldest Pandava, felt a calling. It was time to renounce the kingdom and embark on the final journey, the ascent to the Himalayas. Arjuna, along with his brothers and Draupadi, decided to join Yudhishthira. They were to climb the mighty peaks, aiming to reach the heavens in their human forms, a journey few dared to undertake. The path was arduous. The cold winds and treacherous terrains tested their resolve. One by one, starting with Draupadi, each fell. The pain of seeing his loved ones succumb was unbearable. Yet, Arjuna continued, driven by a sense of duty and purpose. However, as the journey progressed, Arjuna's strength waned. His thoughts were consumed by memories of his brothers, of Krishna, of the grand war. And then, in a moment of clarity amidst the blinding snow, he realized this journey, much like his life, was not just about the destination, the lessons along the way. With that realization, Arjuna let go, succumbing to the embrace of the cold. His spirit, however, soared, joining the luminous tapestry of the cosmos. The tale of Arjuna is not just about a great warrior prince. It is a story of growth, of understanding duty and righteousness, of deep friendships, and the eternal quest for knowledge. The trials of Arjuna remind us that life, in all its glory and sorrow, is a journey of learning, one that each of us is destined to undertake. The End. Titled The Trials of a Brahmin, A Tale of Wisdom and Kindness. Chapter 1 The Village of Serenity. In a land far away, nestled between the towering mountains in the north and the endless seas to the south, lay a picturesque village named Serenity. This village, although small, was known across the region, not for its scenic beauty or the fertile lands that surrounded it, but for a humble abode that stood at its center. This was the home of Dev, the wise Brahmin. Dev wasn't just any Brahmin. He was a scholar, a philosopher, and more importantly, a teacher. His wisdom wasn't merely inherited through scriptures. It was earned through years of travel, experiences, and deep contemplation. He believed that knowledge was the essence of life. Its true value lay not in its possession, but in its dissemination. Mornings in Serenity were always abuzz with activity. Children from the village and neighboring towns gathered around Dev, hanging on to his every word. He narrated tales from the scriptures, stories from his travels, and lessons from life. Each story was a lesson in morality, ethics, and virtues that transcended age and time. Yet, Dev was troubled. The knowledge he possessed, he felt, was still incomplete. The vastness of what lay beyond his understanding weighed on him. His sleep was often disrupted by dreams of a mountain, tall and insurmountable, which he believed was a representation of his own quest for knowledge. Chapter 2 The Unusual Requests. One fateful day, as Dev sat under the sprawling banyan tree, a humble farmer named Kishan approached him, carrying his infant daughter Radha. Kishan wasn't seeking advice on crops or seasons. He had a request that was both unique and profound. "A wise one," began Kishan, his voice trembling. "I am but a simple farmer. My world is limited to the fields and the changing seasons. But my daughter," he said, looking at Radha, "she's different. At night, when I narrate stories of your teachings, her eyes light up with a curious spark. I believe she has a thirst for knowledge that I cannot quench." Dev looked at the child, her innocent eyes gazing back. She held a tiny book, handed down through generations. clasping it as if it was her most prized possession. He realized that this wasn't just a farmer's whimsical observation. This child had the potential to achieve the understanding he yearned for. Moved, Dev made a silent promise not just to teach Radha, but to find the purest form of knowledge for her, something beyond books and tales. Chapter 3: The Journey to the Mountains. Armed with a resolve as sturdy as the mountains, Dev embarked on his journey north. The path was treacherous. He faced numerous challenges: dense forests where the canopy was so thick that sunlight struggled to pierce through, rivers with currents strong enough to deter the most determined traveler, and snow-clad peaks where the air was so thin that it felt like inhaling needles of ice. However, it wasn't the physical challenges that tested Dev. It was the mental and spiritual ones. Each step towards the mountain brought forth memories of his teachings, his students, and his purpose. Doubts began to cloud his mind. Was his quest selfish? Was he abandoning his duty towards his students? Was this journey an escape? But with every doubt came an answer. The universe seemed to be guiding him, assuring him. He remembered the promise he made to Kishan and little Radha. This journey was for them and for every soul that sought knowledge. Chapter 4: Encounters with the Forest Spirits. The forest at the mountain's base was believed to be enchanted. Legends spoke of spirits and creatures that tested the resolve of those who dared enter. And as Dev ventured deeper, these tales came to life. He first met Tara, the spirit of time. She was a beautiful apparition, flowing like water, yet ethereal like air. She posed a riddle: what comes before tomorrow but after yesterday? The answer, Dev realized, wasn't a word but a state of mind now. By being in the present, one can harness the power of both the past and the future. Next was Vayu, the spirit of wind, who tested Dev's humility. In his gusty form, Vayu tried to push Dev off his path, forcing him to hold onto his pride and fight back. However, Dev understood that resistance was not the answer. He sat down, meditated, and let the wind pass over him. His humility calmed Vayu, who admitted defeat. Each encounter with these spirits was a lesson, a realization that knowledge wasn't just academic, it was deeply personal and spiritual. Chapter 5: The Riddle of the Cosmic Dance. Ascending the mountain's peak, Dev met the hermit he had seen in his dreams. Surrounded by a glowing aura, the hermit appeared ageless. Without a word, Dev knew he had to prove his understanding of the universe's balance. The hermit posed a challenge to grasp the wisdom of ages, understand the cosmic dance of creation and destruction. Dev sat in deep meditation. He visualized galaxies being born and stars dying, seasons changing, day turning into night, and life's cyclical nature. The dance was everywhere, in the rhythm of heartbeats, the flutter of leaves, and the flow of rivers. His realization was profound. Balance wasn't about stagnation, it was about harmonious change. The hermit, seeing the clarity in Dev's eyes, passed on the knowledge he sought, an understanding so deep that words could hardly capture it. Chapter 6: The Gift of Knowledge. As Dev retraced his steps down the mountain, he felt lighter, not just because of the wisdom he'd gained, but because of his eagerness to share it. Every village he passed, he halted to tell tales of his journey. The tales were not just of adventures and challenges, but rich in life lessons. In one village, he met a boy named Aman, who was deeply troubled. His crops had failed, and despair clouded his vision. Drawing from his newfound wisdom, Dev shared a tale of how every end marks a new beginning. Just as the day give way to night and winter to spring, your troubles will lead to brighter days, he said. Moved by Dev's words, Aman was inspired to start anew, experimenting with different crops and irrigation methods. In another village, he encountered Myra, a talented singer who had silenced her voice after a performance gone wrong. Dev narrated his experience with the forest spirits, emphasizing the importance of resilience. Life, he said, is a series of notes, both high and low. It's the combination that creates a beautiful melody. Myra took his lesson to heart, and soon her voice echoed in every corner, spreading joy. Through these tales and interactions, Dev realized that knowledge was like water, taking the shape of its container. It was vast, infinite, and adaptable. Its true beauty lay in its dissemination. Chapter 7: Return to Serenity and the Final Test. As the silhouette of Serenity appeared on the horizon, a wave of familiarity and warmth washed over Dev. The village had transformed in his absence. The trees seemed taller, the rivers fuller, and the fields greener. But what caught his eye was a makeshift pavilion at the village center, with children and elders alike eagerly awaiting his return. News of his journey and the tales he'd shared had reached Serenity much before he did, As he narrated his experiences, every face reflected a spectrum of emotions: awe, curiosity, joy, and enlightenment. Days turned into weeks, and the village became a hub of knowledge. People from far-off lands visited, eager to hear the wise Brahmin's tales. But amidst this, Dev remembered the promise he made to the humble farmer. He sought the farmer's daughter, now a curious adolescent, and presented her with a simple seed. "This," he said, "represents the essence of all I've learned. Knowledge is a living entity. It needs to be nurtured, cared for, and allowed to grow. And once it bears fruit, it should be shared so that others can benefit." A young girl, named Sa, planted the seed with great care. Over time, it grew into a magnificent tree, its branches laden with fruit. Under its shade, Sa held session, where she shared tales and lessons, just as Dev had. The tree became a symbol of shared wisdom, and stood testament to the fact that knowledge, when disseminated, can benefit generations. And thus, the legacy of Dev, the wise Brahmin, lived on, not just in tales and scriptures, but in the spirit of sharing, kindness, and enlightenment. Postscript. Years after Dev's legendary journey, Serenity remained a beacon of knowledge. The tales of his adventures, the lessons he imparted, and the wisdom he shared, became an integral part of the village's folklore. However, the most significant legacy he left behind was not in the form of stories, but in the ethos of the village. Children in Serenity were taught not just to seek knowledge, but to share and apply it. The tree that Sa had planted from the seed given by Dev became a revered spot. Under its shade, many more tales were told, many more lessons learned, and many more seeds of knowledge sown. Every year, on the anniversary of Dev's return, the village held a festival. Elders, youngsters, and visitors gathered to share stories, experiences, and lessons. It was a celebration of knowledge, wisdom, and the spirit of communal growth. But beyond the festivities, what truly thrived in Serenity was the understanding that knowledge was not a treasure to be hoarded, but a gift to be shared. It was the bridge that connected generations, cultures, and souls. It was the light that dispelled ignorance, the rain that nurtured growth, and the wind that spread the seeds of wisdom. And as every child in Serenity would tell you, the tale of Dev, the wise Brahmin, wasn't just a story from the past. It was a guide for the present and a beacon for the future. The end. Titled The Enchanted Tale of Damayanti. Chapter 1. The Beautiful Princess. In the mystical land of ancient India, where mountains whispered secrets to the wind and rivers sang songs of old, there was a resplendent kingdom called Vidarbha. This kingdom was like a jewel, glittering with golden palaces and surrounded by fragrant gardens that bloomed all year round. Vidarbha was ruled by King Bhima, a wise and benevolent ruler. His tales of justice and compassion had reached the farthest corners of the world. But what was talked about even more was the gem of his heart, his beloved daughter, Princess Damayanti. Damayanti was not just another princess, she was special in every sense, with twinkling eyes that mirrored the night sky, and a laugh that reminded people of the tinkling of temple bells. She was the pride of Vidarbha. But it wasn't her beauty alone that made her special. Her heart was full of kindness, and her mind brimmed with wisdom far beyond her years. When she spoke, it was as if melodies flowed from her lips, and every word was a lesson in love, compassion, and valor. Children would gather around her in the palace gardens, and she would tell them tales of valor, kindness, and justice. She would teach them that beauty wasn't just about a pretty face, but was about the deeds one performed and the kindness one showed. In the evenings, she would often sit by the window of her palace chamber, gazing at the horizon, wondering what lay beyond the mountains and the rivers. She had heard tales of brave princes and mighty warriors from distant lands, who performed heroic deeds. And deep down, a tiny flame of curiosity flickered. She wondered if she would ever meet someone who would match the rhythm of her heart. As days turned into nights and nights into days, Damayanti's tales became the talk of the town. Merchants and travelers would often be found, discussing her wisdom at the bustling marketplaces. "Have you heard the story of the Princess of Vidarbha?" one would ask, and soon a crowd would gather, eager to hear more. One evening, as Damayanti sat by her window, she noticed a group of golden birds playing in the garden. They were swans, their feathers shining in the evening sun. One of them seemed to be more curious than the others, and slowly approached a window where Damayanti sat. To her astonishment, the swan spoke in a human voice. "Greetings, Princess Damayanti. I have traveled from distant lands, and have heard tales of your beauty and wisdom." Damayanti, still surprised but ever gracious, replied, "Welcome, noble swan. It is not often that we get to converse with such magnificent birds. The swan, fluffing its feathers with pride, said, "Princess, in my travels, I have come across many a prince and warrior. There is one whose tales of bravery and kindness surpass all. His name is Nala, the Prince of Nishada." Damayante's eyes sparkled with interest. "Tell me more about this Prince Nala." The swan, pleased at her interest, began narrating tales of Nala's bravery, his skill in taming wild horses, and his unmatched knowledge of the ancient scriptures. And as the swan spoke, Damayanti felt a strange connection, as if destiny was weaving a tale of its own. As the moon rose higher in the sky, the swan prepared to leave. "Princess, would you like me to convey a message to Prince Nala?" it asked with a twinkle in its eye. Damayanti, her cheeks flushed with the hues of the setting sun, whispered, "Tell him that the Princess of Vidarbha would like to hear tales of his adventures from his own lips." The swan nodded and flew away, leaving behind a trail of golden dust, a princess with dreams of a prince from a distant land. But little did Damayanti know that her life was about to change, in ways she had never imagined. For in the game of fate, even gods become players, and the journey of love is never an easy one. As Damayanti lay in her bed that night, the wind carried melodies from distant lands, and she dreamed of meeting the brave Prince Nala. But her dreams were just the beginning of an epic tale of love, adventure, and destiny. Chapter 2: Nala, the Brave Prince. In the lush green kingdom of Nishada, where cascading waterfalls kissed the verdant meadows, and the forests echoed with the symphonies of nature, lived Prince Nala. Nishada was a land of beauty and bounty, and at its heart stood a magnificent palace that glittered under the sun, a testament to the kingdom's prosperity. Prince Nala was unlike any other prince. Tall, with a royal demeanor, his eyes were like deep pools of knowledge, and his voice was as soothing as the gentle streams of Nishada. From a young age, Nala was known for his wisdom and his unparalleled skills in archery, horse riding, and the ancient game of dice. However, what truly set Nala apart was his love for nature and animals. He could tame the wildest horse with just a gentle whisper and could communicate with birds and animals, as if they were his friends. People of Nishada often spoke of the time when, as a young boy, Nala had rescued a fawn that was trapped in a thicket. Instead of running away in fear, the fawn had nestled close to Nala, sensing the kindness in his heart. One day, as Nala was practicing archery in the royal courtyard, a shimmering golden swan descended from the sky. It circled the courtyard gracefully and landed in front of the prince, its golden feathers glistening in the morning sun. "Prince Nala," the swan began in a melodious voice, "I bring greetings from Princess Damayanti of Vidarbha." Nala, though taken aback, responded with grace, "Greetings, noble swan. I have heard tales of the beautiful and wise Princess Damayanti. To what do I owe this honor?" The swan, fluffing its feathers, replied, "Princess Damayanti has heard of your bravery, and wishes to hear tales of your adventures from your own lips." Nala's heart skipped a beat. Though he had heard tales of Damayanti's beauty and wisdom, he had never imagined that their paths would cross. A mixture of excitement and curiosity filled him as he said, "Please convey my regards to Princess Damayanti and tell her that I am honored by her message." As days passed, the message from Princess Damayanti became the talk of the Nishada court. Royal advisors and courtiers often discussed the implications of such an alliance. But for Nala, it was not politics or power that occupied his mind. It was the thought of meeting someone who seemed so similar to him in spirit and wisdom. He would often find himself lost in thoughts, wondering about Damayanti. Was she really as wise and kind as the tales suggested? Did she also feel the same connection with nature and animals? And most importantly, would their destinies intertwine? One evening, as Nala sat in his private chambers, an idea began to take shape in his mind. What if he undertook a journey to Vidarbha, not as a prince, but as a common traveler, to meet Damayanti? It would give him a chance to know her without the weight of royal expectations. With this thought, Nala began preparing for his journey. He chose simple attire, one that would not reveal his royal identity, and took with him only a small entourage of trusted soldiers. The journey to Vidarbha was not an easy one. Nala and his entourage had to cross dense forests, treacherous mountain paths, and vast rivers. But with every challenge, Nala's determination grew stronger. During their journey, Nala and his team encountered various challenges. Once, they came across a village that had been devastated by a flood. Instead of continuing his journey, Nala decided to stay and help. He used his knowledge of architecture to build sturdy homes, and his understanding of nature to create a water drainage system. Villagers, grateful for the help, blessed the unknown traveler and his team, unaware that they were in the presence of a prince. Another time, while crossing the dense forest, Nala came across a wounded lion. While his soldiers were hesitant, Nala approached a majestic creature with care and compassion. Using herbs and his knowledge of healing, he nursed the lion back to health. In gratitude, the lion, instead of posing a threat, guided them through the forest, ensuring their safety. After weeks of travel, Nala finally reached the outskirts of Vidarbha. As he gazed at the magnificent kingdom, he realized that his journey had changed him. He had not only discovered the beauty of the land, but had also learned the importance of kindness, compassion, and humility. The biggest discovery awaited him inside the walls of Vidarbha, where destiny had its own plans. Plans that would change the course of Nala and Damayanti's lives forever. The end, titled The Story of Harishchandra, A Tale of Truth and Triumph. Chapter 1, The Just King. Long ago, in the heart of ancient India, there ruled a noble and just king named Harishchandra. His reputation as a righteous ruler spread far and wide, earning him the love and respect of his subjects. King Harishchandra's kingdom was a place where truth and justice reigned supreme. From a young age, Harishchandra had been taught the importance of truth and honesty. His parents instilled in him the values of integrity, compassion, and fairness. As he ascended the throne, he swore an oath to always uphold these principles. Under King Harishchandra's rule, the kingdom prospered. People lived in harmony, and justice was served swiftly and fairly. King's wisdom and sense of duty were unmatched, and his subjects lived in peace and contentment. Chapter 2, The Promise. One fateful day, as King Harishchandra was inspecting his kingdom and speaking with his subjects, he encountered a revered sage named Vishwamitra. The sage, known for his austere penances and deep wisdom, was impressed by the king's reputation for justice and righteousness. Sage Vishwamitra approached King Harishchandra and said, "O noble king, your commitment to truth and justice is known throughout the land. I have a request, a test of your unwavering devotion to honesty." Intrigued and eager to prove his commitment, King Harishchandra replied, "O great sage, I am ready to fulfill any request you make, for I hold truth above all else." Chapter 3, A Difficult Decision. Sage Vishwamitra's request was a test of unparalleled magnitude. He asked King Harishchandra to donate his entire kingdom, along with all his wealth and possessions, as an offering to the sage himself. It was a test that would challenge the very core of the king's commitment to truth. The king, bound by his promise to always speak the truth and never waver from his duty, had no choice but to agree. With a heavy heart, he transferred the entirety of his kingdom and wealth to Sage Vishwamitra. Overnight, King Harishchandra's life changed dramatically. He and his family were left with nothing but the clothes on their backs. The royal palace, once a symbol of opulence, was now the property of the sage. King's unwavering commitment to truth was about to be tested like never before. Chapter 4, The Sacrifice. Stripped of his kingdom and wealth, King Harishchandra, along with his devoted queen Shavya and their young son Rohiteshva, faced a harsh and uncertain future. King's sense of duty and commitment to truth remained unshaken. Their lives had taken an unexpected turn. With nowhere else to turn, King Harishchandra, Queen Shavya, and Prince Rohiteshva took refuge in a desolate cemetery on the outskirts of their former kingdom. The cemetery was a place where the dead were laid to rest, and the living rarely ventured. Here, in the shadow of towering trees and ancient tombstones, the royal family began a new chapter of their lives. King Harishchandra took on the role of the caretaker of the cemetery, performing the last rites for the departed souls and maintaining the sacred grounds. Chapter 5, A Life of Hardship. Life in the cemetery was far from comfortable. King Harishchandra, once a ruler of a prosperous kingdom, now wore tattered clothes and led a simple and ascetic life. He and his family had to endure the harsh elements, scorching heat, and bone-chilling nights. They relied on the meager offerings brought by those who came to cremate their loved ones. It was a life of humility and hardship. The king's commitment to truth and righteousness remained unshaken. Day after day, King Harishchandra carried out his duties in the cemetery, offering prayers for the souls of the departed, and performing the last rites with utmost sincerity. His unwavering commitment to his duty and his dedication to truth inspired those who witnessed his selfless actions. And so, in the heart of the cemetery, under the open sky and surrounded by the memories of the departed king, Harishchandra's commitment to truth shone brightly, a beacon of righteousness in a world filled with challenges and temptations. Chapter 6 The Test of Time. Years passed, and King Harishchandra, along with Queen Shevya and Prince Rohiteshva, continued to live in the cemetery. Their life was one of simplicity and sacrifice, a testament to the enduring commitment to truth and duty. As time went by, the story of the virtuous king, living in the cemetery, spread throughout the land. People from far and wide came to witness the unwavering devotion of King Harishchandra to his duty and truth. They marveled at his resilience in the face of adversity. Yet, even as his commitment to truth remained steadfast, King Harishchandra yearned for a way to provide a better life for his beloved family. He knew that their hardships were a result of the promise he had made to sage Vishwamitra, a promise he could not break. Chapter 7 The testing continues. Sage Vishwamitra, still testing the king's resolve, decided to put him through even more trials. He appeared before King Harishchandra once again, this time with a request that would push the boundaries of the king's dedication to truth. "O king," said the sage, "your commitment to truth has been admirable, but I have another test for you. Sell your wife, Queen Shevya, and your son, Prince Rohiteshva, into slavery. Offer them as a sacrifice to uphold your vow." King Harishchandra was faced with an impossible choice. On one hand, he had sworn to uphold truth above all else. On the other hand, he could not bear the thought of parting with his beloved family. The weight of his duty and love for his family pressed heavily upon his heart. Chapter 8 A Moment of Desperation. Torn between his duty to protect his family and his unwavering commitment to truth, King Harishchandra faced a moment of desperation. He knew that he could not refuse sage Vishwamitra's demand without breaking his vow. The thought of selling his wife and son into slavery was unbearable. In his anguish, the king turned to Queen Shevya and explained the impossible situation they face. Queen Shevya, a woman of immense strength and devotion, understood the depth of her husband's commitment to truth. With tears in her eyes, she said, "My lord, I too am bound by the same commitment to truth. If it is your duty to uphold your vow, then it is my duty to support you in your path." And so, with heavy hearts, King Harishchandra and Queen Shevya made the painful decision to sell themselves and their young son into slavery, accepting their fate with grace and resolve. Chapter 9 A Miraculous Reunion. Years passed, and the royal family lived separate lives in servitude. But as fate would have it, they found themselves reunited in the most unexpected of places, a cremation ground where they had once sought refuge. It was a moment of miraculous serendipity. King Harishchandra, now toiling as a menial laborer in the same cremation ground, came face to face with his beloved wife, Queen Shevya, and their grown son, Prince Rohiteshva. The remarkable reunion was a testament to the enduring power of truth and the unwavering commitment of this noble family. Despite the trials and tribulations they had endured, their love and devotion remained undiminished. Chapter 10 The Return of Glory. Touched by the unwavering commitment and sacrifices of King Harishchandra, Queen Shevya, and Prince Rohiteshva, the gods themselves intervened. They recognized the purity of their hearts and the steadfastness of their dedication to truth. In a divine display of grace, gods not only freed the royal family from their life of hardship and servitude, but also restored to King Harishchandra his kingdom, wealth, and honor. The king and his family were once again united in prosperity and happiness. People of the kingdom rejoiced at the return of their beloved king and queen. King Harishchandra's commitment to truth and righteousness had withstood the most arduous of tests, and had earned him the admiration and love of his subjects. Chapter 11 The Legacy. The story of Harishchandra, the noble king, who sacrificed his kingdom, wealth, and even his family in the pursuit of truth, became legendary. It was a tale of unwavering commitment, sacrifice, and the triumph of righteousness. King Harishchandra's legacy lived on, a timeless lesson in the power of staying true to one's principles and upholding honesty and justice, even in the face of immense challenges. And so, the story of Harishchandra, the king who held truth above all else, remains a beacon of inspiration for generations to come, a reminder that the pursuit of truth and righteousness is a path worth following, no matter the cost. The End. Titled The Tale of Mighty Ravana, a story of strength and wisdom. Chapter 1 The Birth of the Ten-Headed King. In a land bathed in the golden hues of sunrise, where rivers sang lullabies and mountains whispered ancient tales, a unique child was born. This was no ordinary baby, for he had not one, not two, but 10 heads. People from far and wide came to see this marvel, their eyes wide with astonishment. This child was named Ravana. Each of his heads was as sharp as the other. It was said that when one head would sleep, The other 9 would stay awake, reading scriptures, observing the stars, or listening to the elders' tales. With each day, Ravana's knowledge grew, and it was evident he was destined to greatness. His mother, a wise sage named Kaikse, often said, "Each of your heads carries a form of knowledge, my son. Use them wisely." His father, the great sage Vishrava, nodded in agreement, pride evident in his eyes. As Ravana grew, his thirst for knowledge became insatiable. From the sacred Vedas to the intricate rhythms of the universe, he wanted to learn it all. The forest became his classrooms, the animals his companions, and the stars his guiding lights. On his 15th birthday, as was the tradition, Ravana's parents gifted him a veena, a stringed musical instrument. With each cluck, the young prince created melodies that echoed with the wisdom of his 10 heads. Birds would stop chirping to listen, rivers would slow down to hear, and even the wind would pause, enchanted by his music. But as the years passed, a restlessness grew within Ravana. With all his knowledge and wisdom, there was still something he deeply desired: power. Not just the power of a prince or a king, the kind of power that could shake the heavens and stir the seas. His mother, sensing his ambitions, warned, "Power is like fire, my son. It can warm your home, or it can burn it down. Be careful what you wish for." Young Ravana, with dreams as vast as the sky, was ready to embark on a journey, a quest for power that would change the fate of the world. Little did he know that this very quest would lead him to the doors of the gods, to challenges he could never have imagined, and to a destiny that would be remembered for aeons to come. And thus, with the blessings of his parents, the 10-headed prince set forth, determined to carve a place for himself in the annals of history. The tale of Ravana's ascent had only just begun. Chapter 2: Ravana's Quest for Power. In the sprawling landscapes of India, where temples dotted the horizon, and the air buzzed with ancient hymns, Ravana's name began to echo with greater frequency. With each passing village and town, tales of the 10-headed prince, hungry for power and knowledge, spread like wildfire. Determined to become invincible, Ravana set his heart on seeking boons from the gods. For this, he needed to perform a severe penance, a test of his will and spirit. Deep in the heart of the dense Dandaka forests, where the trees stood tall like wise old sages and rivers hummed age-old secrets, Ravana began his intense meditation. For years, he stood on one foot, his hands raised towards the sky, neither eating nor drinking. Seasons changed, years rolled by, and yet Ravana's determination remained unshaken. The severity of his penance caused the very earth to tremble and the heavens to grow restless. Observing from the celestial abodes, the gods grew uneasy. Such was the intensity of Ravana's penance that even the mightiest of deities felt its tremors. They whispered among themselves, what could the 10-headed prince desire so fervently? One day, an unforeseen event occurred. In his fervor, Ravana, in a show of unparalleled devotion, decided to sacrifice one of his heads to please the gods. He drew his sword and cut off a head, offering it as a symbol of his dedication. But no response came from the heavens. Undeterred, Ravana continued his penance, and as more time passed, he sacrificed another head, then another, and so forth, until 9 of his 10 heads lay at the base of his meditation spot. Moved by this extreme act of devotion, Lord Brahma, god of creation, appeared before Ravana. The forest glowed with divine light, and all creatures, big and small, watched in awe. Brahma, with compassion in his eyes, said, "Your devotion is unmatched, Ravana. Ask, and your boon shall be granted." With pride and anticipation, Ravana replied, "Grant me invulnerability. I wish to be invincible against gods, demons, and all celestial beings." Brahma nodded, granting his wish, but in Ravana's overwhelming joy, he overlooked asking protection from humans, seeing them as insignificant, a decision that would echo in his life in ways he couldn't yet foresee. With his newfound power, Ravana's ambitions soared even higher. The world was yet to witness the full might of the 10-headed king. Chapter 3: The Golden City of Lanka. Upon the sparkling blue canvas of the Indian Ocean, there emerged an island of unparalleled beauty. Ravana, with his newfound powers and boundless ambitions, chose this island as the site for his magnificent capital Lanka. This wasn't to be any ordinary city. Ravana envisioned a city of gold, shimmering and radiant, a testament to his might and majesty. With a snap of his fingers, he summoned the most skilled artisans, architects, and craftsmen from across the lands. Gold, sourced from the deepest mines, was brought in abundance. Precious gems and stones, each telling its tale of mystique, were used to adorn the city's structures. Day and night, the island buzzed with activity. Palaces soared towards the sky, their spires touching the clouds. Gardens bloomed with fragrant flowers, their scents mingling with the salty sea breeze. Ponds, filled with crystal-clear water, reflected the city's splendor. At the city's heart stood Ravana's palace, grander than all its walls. Embedded with diamonds that glittered like a million stars. High towers provided panoramic views of the surrounding ocean, and breezy corridors whispered tales of Ravana's victories. Lanka, in all its golden grandeur, was not just a marvel of architecture. It was also a hub of knowledge and art. Scholars and artists from distant lands were invited, making the city a melting pot of cultures and ideas. However, Ravana ensured that Lanka wasn't just beautiful, but also impregnable. Mighty walls guarded the city. A vast army stood ready to defend its golden shores. The city's fame spread far and wide, with many a traveler and merchant docking at its ports, eager for a glimpse of its splendor. The citizens of Lanka, under Ravana's rule, prospered. They reveled in the city's beauty and sang praises of their ten-headed king, who had turned their homeland into an envy of the world. But amidst the joy and prosperity, a storm was brewing, and the winds carried whispers of a tale involving a prince, a princess, and the fate of the Golden City. Chapter 4: The Abduction of Seta. Beyond the shimmering walls of Lanka, in a tranquil forest grove, there resided Prince Rama and his beautiful wife, Seta. They lived in humble exile, their days filled with the melodies of birds and the rustle of leaves. But destiny had other plans. One fateful day, a golden deer, radiant and captivating, pranced near their abode. Sita, enchanted by its beauty, expressed her desire to have it. Rama, wishing to please his beloved, pursued the deer, leaving Sita under the protection of his brother, Lakshmana. The golden deer was no ordinary creature. It was a ruse, a distraction. As Rama chased it, the deer led him further away, and in desperation, mimicked Rama's voice, crying out for help. Worried for his brother, Lakshmana hesitated, but eventually left to assist Rama, drawing a protective line around their hut, and urging Seta not to cross it under any circumstance. With the brothers away, Ravana seized his chance. Disguising himself as a wandering sage, he approached Seta, asking for alms. As Seta stepped forward to offer food, crossing the protective line, Ravana revealed his true form. In a whirlwind of action, Ravana, with his mighty strength, abducted Seta, carrying her away in his flying chariot. The skies thundered, and the creatures of the forest cried out in despair. When Rama and Lakshmana returned to find Seta missing, their hearts sank in sorrow. The stage was set for an epic quest, a battle between righteousness and arrogance, with the fate of Seta, Rama, and the golden city of Lanka hanging in the balance. Chapter 5: Ravana's battle with Lord Rama. News of Seta's abduction echoed through the forests, reaching the ears of the mighty Hanuman, a devotee of Lord Rama. With his aid, Rama assembled a vast army of monkeys and bears, ready to storm Lanka and rescue Seta. As they approached the island, the seas roared and the skies darkened. Lanka's golden walls loomed ahead, seemingly insurmountable. Undeterred, Rama's army built a bridge of stones, with each rock inscribed with Rama's name, miraculously floating on the waters. The battle that ensued was legendary. Ravana's fierce warriors clashed with Rama's resilient army. The air was filled with the sounds of clashing weapons, war cries, and determined hearts. Ravana, with his 10 heads and mighty strength, seemed invincible. But Rama, armed with his divine bow and unwavering spirit, stood firm. Amidst the chaos, a single arrow from Rama pierced the skies, finding its mark, signaling the beginning of the end for the 10-headed king. With Ravana defeated, the sun rose over Lanka, casting golden rays upon its walls, signaling a new era. Sita, freed from her captivity, reunited with Rama, and their love shone brighter amidst the trials they had faced. The end. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the next piece. Please give a like and subscribe. Thank you.